Hey guys, Daniel's son, and this Audi R8 is about to get $40,000 worth of repairs. Now luckily, it's not my money. What am I repairing that could cost so much? Well, let's go through the list. First off, the engine needs to come out because of this. The cause of this is leaking valve seals. Now, it's very common on this engine, unfortunately, and there are other things that we're gonna take care of while we're in there, but this is the main reason the engine needs to come out. Now, unfortunately, there's more. And that is the suspension. All 4 shocks are blown, which makes driving this car horrible. Now, the car feels so loose when it should be planted. It just doesn't inspire confidence around turns, and then the clunking and the rattles, it is so annoying. So we're gonna go ahead and replace the shocks and whatever else is worn out in there to make this car drive like it was brand new. Now, before we take it apart, we definitely have to do a pull to see how this thing sounds. I gotta get me one of these. Now that the car's on the lift, I actually have a list of all the things that are wrong with this car. Now, obviously, this is stuff that we know. We're probably gonna find more stuff, but I went through it with Wizard. This is all the stuff that he's kind of found while how he's been driving it and stuff like that. So let's start with the valve seals. We already know what that is. Suspension, the clunk. Now, one of the things is the paddle shifters. The paddle shifter for downshifting actually gets stuck every now and then, so you kind of have to mess with it to fix it. So we're gonna be addressing that. We have oil leaks, mainly from the water pump shaft that drives the water pump. Now, that seal is actually kind of hard to get to, so we're gonna take care of it while the engine's out. Now, we also have the accumulator. Whenever the car's sitting, you open the door and the pump has to prime because it thinks you're gonna turn on the car and drive it. It actually runs continuously. So whenever the car is, let's say, parked, idling, or you open the door, it'll run consistently because the accumulator does not hold the pressure in the system. Now, we need to replace that. That's actually a very common problem back at Ferrari that I used to take care of. It's a pretty easy fix. So we replace that. Sometimes the relay, because a lot of times the relays are very overworked. So we're gonna address all that when we get there. The hood struts, they're very squeaky. Now, the next thing is the alternator. We're gonna go ahead and replace that because he just wants to replace it. Preventative maintenance has been in for a very long time. We're having issues with the radio. So he's gonna go ahead and put a brand new one on there so we don't have to worry about it ever again. Now, we are gonna be doing some mods to the car. I'll talk about that in the next video. Now, these are mods that are gonna make the car drive a little bit better. Also, it's gonna make it cheaper to own because it's gonna be a little bit more reliable. It's gonna have, let's say, less moving parts. Let's leave it at that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's tear this thing apart. We already have our first item to add, and it's a missing wheel stud. So let's go ahead. Wheel stud. I already have a bad feeling that Wizard's not gonna like this list. A lot of times when I'm doing projects like this, I like to take the wheels off first. The reason is that when you leave them on and you have to lower the lift, sometimes the lift arms will lose contact and move around. Now, in this case, it can't because I can lower the car pretty much all the way to the ground and the car doesn't make contact with the floor. Obviously, we don't want that, but also the lift arms don't get a chance to kind of shift around. Now, also, I decided to go ahead and open the deck lid. I decided to lower the windows, put the seats all the way forward and open up the front trunk, whatever you want to call it, because I'm about to disconnect power to the car and I want to make sure all these things are open and the windows are down and all that stuff, because if I need it later, I don't want to hook up the battery, have the fuel pump run if it's still connected, just stuff like that, you know what I mean? Just make sure everything's open. Now, ideally, I have to remove the seats to be able to get to that back area because that's where the harness is for all the engine connectors, all that stuff. You disconnect it from the inside and you feed it through the firewall. Now, I'm not gonna do that. Why? Because I'm small enough to fit back there. So that saves me some time. I don't wanna take the seats out. So that'll make it a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and continue.
Holding. Yep.
Okay. Okay, now comes the fun part. I said I fit back here, and I do. Okay. There we go. Okay, now we need to take this off, which I Velcroed in, because there's a massive hole back here, and this kind of covers it, because it's kind of hard to find this piece, and they're expensive. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to remove these side panels here. I did this before, but I already forgot. It's I do that pretty often. Okay, there we go. So I finally got the harness through the firewall. There's a lot of connectors and everything to go to a hole about yay big, but we got it. Now, unfortunately, in Audi fashion, there's one cable that's still attached to the car, and you would think I could get it from this side, a plug or whatever. No, it's actually behind the side panel. So we need to remove this side panel to remove this cable. Yeah, this is the fun parts of working on Audis. So we got that panel off. I'm going to show you what cable or wire is the one right here. So you see, just kind of goes into there. Now let's go around. There it is. So it's behind that panel. So you have to take that whole panel for one wire, for one ground. Huh. What is Audi thinking? Okay, so I thought I was done with those grounds, but there's another one in the same spot in the other side. So we need to remove that side panel as well. So look, it's right here. Just a little 10mm ground that can go anywhere else except here, but they make you take the side panel for no reason. Even though it's easy, it's only a couple of screws to pop that panel off, but still. Makes no sense. Now we're close to pulling the engine out. I got the cherry picker set up, and I don't remember what that's called, but it helps you kind of move the engine back and forth. Anyways, off camera, I went ahead and unhooked a bunch of the lines and stuff like that. It was all pretty easy. I took the drive shaft out. It was only a few bolts, so I took care of that. I got the oil tank out. There was only 2 screws holding it in, and now we need to figure out how to attach that thing, which I forgot what it's called, to the engine. Now we got a couple of, let's say, I don't know, some anchors right there at the front, which we need to cut a chain over there to kind of make it work. And then back here, it's a little tricky. So I have this chain set up here, which I think might work if I can attach it to the back there. But it's still kind of a work in progress. But let's go ahead and cut that chain and at least set up the front. That maybe will give us a better view of how we're gonna do this. I got my safety glasses on, and we need to cut about that much. I already have them marked in there. You can possibly see the mark right there. So I got to cut 2 pieces, and then what's left over, I'll see if I can still use that for attaching the back of it. I don't know if this will work, but at least get me close. And if I need to get more chain, I'll get more chain. Plus this chain is stout. This thing is stout. So yeah, let's go for it. Okay, we got the 2 pieces done. Let's see how this works out. Okay, so this is roughly what I had in mind. So right here, we have 1 bolt going to the back of it. And then right here in the front, we got Two nice beefy chains. Now it's not pushing against the intake, but it is touching it. So I put this cover on there to prevent it from scratching it, even though this will probably get painted, but we don't want to put any deep gouges. Over here, like I said, I hope this works. This chain is not as stout, but it is too. I'm hoping that maybe that'll divide the weight. I don't think that's how it works, but I have no idea. So we're gonna go slow, start going up slowly, see what happens. If I start hearing weird noises, I'll come back down, I guess. I'm sorry for all the noise. It's just really windy right now, but it literally just started like half an hour ago. It's been quiet all day and then it just started, but whatever. Let's start with the first pump. Okay. 2. Okay. 3. Doesn't look like anything's happening. Maybe. Ooh. I forgot to take the coolant reservoir out. So let me take care of that real quick. Look at that, it's out. And that is how you do an oil change. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if it'll go on that blue table. I still have to remove that 2x4, but the reason is I just don't want to set it on the floor. I think we'll have a little bit more room. Obviously I cannot leave it on the cherry picker. So yeah, let's give that a try. Now that the engine is on the stand, table, whatever you want to call it, let's see what we can see at first glance. Let's see how bad this thing is and if it was really worth taking the engine out. Well, it is, but let's see if there's anything more wrong with it. So this right here is going to be the front of the engine, the part that's facing the firewall, the part that you can't see. You got some servos here, some vacuum servos for the intake runners, I'm assuming. Then a bunch of stuff in there. I don't know if you guys can see. There's the filter all the way down there. You actually get it from the other side. Let's see, down here we see that oil leak that was let's see where it's actually coming from. I think it's coming from the main seal, maybe the front main seal there, or from the upper oil pan crankcase. Well, hope it's not that. I don't see anything up there. Okay, moving on. Here everything looks pretty good. Obviously all of that is soaked in oil. Then right here on the side on the valve cover, the valve covers do have a little bit of seepage in there. Not much. Kind of hard to see in the camera, but it's there. Well, actually, there you go. So that cover, that rear cover, more than likely needs to come off and be resealed. So we're gonna have to pull the transmission off. Now we're gonna pull the transmission off anyways because we are checking the clutch or replacing the clutch, depending on how bad it is. Now the transmission luckily is dry, there's no leaks. Everything looks good so far back here. Let's see, this valve cover as well. As you can see, it's leaking right there. This little rear cover is only this section. So now when we pull the transmission off, this will probably be a little bit easier to get to because we're gonna have the transmission off plus all the stuff off as well. You got your high pressure fuel pumps. They're easy to get to, even with the engine in the car, which is nice. And then possibly, maybe, we are gonna be removing the intake because we are painting it. So that'll be cool. I don't know what paint though. I'll let Wizard decide on that since it's his. Let's see. And that's pretty much it. Everything seems pretty good on this engine. It's just, you know, you have to pull it off, you know, fix all this stuff, and probably don't have to pull it off for the next 20 years. So I think it's well worth the investment. So it's another late night here at Omega Auto Clinic. It is Saturday. I think it's 8 p.m. right now. So I'm going to go home and continue this some other day. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. No clue. But we'll be removing the valve covers, transmission, intake, and whatever else we need to remove to see where the leaks are coming from and what do we need to order, because we have to make a list of all these parts that are broken, missing, or leaking, or whatever. So yeah, but I'm tired. and I don't want to do that right now. So yeah, I guess be back sometime later. I don't know. Okay, so it's been a little bit since the last clip. Fortunately, I only work on this on the weekends, and sometimes things come up. This weekend was allergies, and I've been kind of stuck at home just because of that. Now, I did try something different, and it seemed to work out. Today's Sunday. I wanted to release a video today, but it's not going to be, so probably leave it for next week. But I got a hold on my allergies, I think, so let's go ahead and continue. Now, something that we added to the list is the AC compressor. So we're going to go ahead and replace it. Why? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can't even do it in the car. You have to do it with the engine out, and we don't want to do that in the future. So we're going to make sure there's a brand new, fresh one in there, so we don't have to deal with that one either, because even on the table, it seems like a pain in the butt. So you can see it sits right here. So you have your AC connections right here. Then you have the exhaust right in the way, which you can get to some of the nuts up here and then some of the nuts down there. But when it's in the car, you just can't. Now over here, these are not belt driven. They use a shaft, like a drive shaft that comes from the engine. You can kind of see it right there, and it just drives the AC compressor. It's a lot easier to do with the engine out. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of that. So I think the way that I'm gonna start this is by starting with the intake and working my way down, since it seems like everything is up here, at least most of it. All the wires and plugs and vacuum lines and gadgets. So I think that's probably the best idea. Okay, so I think we are ready to come out with it. Let's see. Oh, not from there. From here. Whew. There we go. Now, I definitely got to ask you guys, what do you think about this type of work? Do you think it's too much? Is a lot? Would you tackle something like this on your own? Definitely leave it in the comments. I want to know how many of you guys would even dare to do something like this. I've been doing it for a while, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is time consuming and labor intensive. This is how it looks with the intake removed. Here are the intake ports. Now they do have a little bit of carbon, nothing crazy, but we are going to clean them. Now these seem to be a little bit deep in there, so maybe like a media blast or something like that to clean them out. But yeah, we are going to be taking care of them because might as well. Now over here, we have the intake. Now the intake looks in really good shape. The bolts had some witness marks because they had removed this intake before to do probably a cleaning, an actual carbon cleaning of the valves. And yeah, now there's also other little witness marks. You know, some of the plugs are broken and stuff like that. It's very common with these Audi style plugs from this era. They work just fine. We are not going to be replacing them all because it's going to take up a lot of the budget just to replace it and a lot of time. So they still work. They don't pop off or anything like that. And if we have to zip tie one in, that's fine. They'll be fine. Now here we have the intake ports on the intake, and you can see how these go up and down. So this right here is wide open. Sorry, this is wide open, and this is halfway closed. Now that's what those little vacuum servos do to open and close these during, let's say, idle, during acceleration, during low end load and high end load. They kind of switch around. Now again, I do not know how these work specifically. I know how the Ferrari ones work. Now these I would have to do some research and find out, but yeah, basically they just kind of let's see here. Yep, open and then halfway close. I think it just kind of speeds up the air or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Okay, so we need to spray the nuts on the exhaust because we're gonna get to it eventually, and I know that these are not gonna come out without a fight. And if we strip one out, yeah, we're done because there's no getting to them. So I thought that I had to remove the nuts on the bottom. Turns out that you just take the ones on the top and then it just slides off. So these nuts just kind of hold this piece of metal here, that bar, and then you just kind of slide it in there. And the way it works is as you tighten the top ones, it pushes it down into that channel, creating a seal. So gotta give it to Audi, you know, that's a pretty good idea. And then this one too. There we go. So here's a better view of the AC compressor. So you can see it's a shaft driven from this maybe gear set or yeah, I'm just gonna call it a gear set that maybe drives off the flywheel or something along those lines, or chain driven, no clue. But on this side, you'll see that there's another one, and that's for the power steering pump, which I had to take off to remove one of the lines because it was being a pain in the butt. And then we have this one that goes straight to the AC compressor via this coupler, and you just unscrew it from right here, what it seems like, and then you just pop it right off. We may have to pop off the thermostat / water pump, whatever the heck that is, and that should get it out. And there we go. Other than this thing, it looks like a regular AC compressor. Now, something interesting about this alternator is that it's actually cooled with coolant. Most alternators you'll see, they're kind of open, they have a lot of fins for air cooling, but this one does not, because it has 2 lines where it runs coolant through it. I'm assuming it's because the exhaust is like right here, and they were trying to prevent premature failure, so you don't have to take the engine out, which I don't think you have to take the engine out to replace this. But again, it's cooled by coolant, so that probably makes it, you know, twice as more expensive. Okay, so now we move on to the valve covers. Let's see if we can actually do these valve seals. Well, we're not going to do them in this video. Still have to get them in, but at least we're going to see they're easy to get to. Now right here, these are all the connectors for the coils. It's very common for those little tabs to be broken. You know, even on my car, they're all broken as well. They still work, and luckily you can actually bolt these in so it'll never come off. But yeah, unfortunately, not a great design, and the plastic always rots out, dries out, whatever, and they just completely shatter when you even, like normally, just put a little bit of tension on them and they break right off. So if you can see that, they have a little bit of oil, meaning that the valve cover gasket is probably leaking a little bit, which kind of normal for the mileage. Luckily, we're going to be replacing that. This one wasn't as bad. Yeah, looks like all the other ones are pretty good shape. It was just that one. So it looks like I don't have to remove the high pressure fuel pump, which is nice. It looks like you have the valve cover itself, and then there's intermediate plate here that probably holds the cams. It's probably the cam caps is all one piece that completely covers it up, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing that when I remove this. But that makes it a little bit easier, which is nice. Okay. Whoop. Oh wow, that's a lot lighter than I thought it was. What is this, plastic? Yep, that's plastic. Wow. Okay, so it's pretty much as I thought. These cams are held in by this intermediate plate right here, and if I remove all the bolts, I can pretty much remove this entire piece, which includes the back side of this piece right here. But we don't need to go that far in. This piece, we need to remove it later, not right now, so we can reseal it, and we're pretty much there. And it seems like it's gonna be a lot more involved than I thought it was gonna be, but what it needs to be done. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video right there, and sorry for the late post. Just like I said, too many things on the weekends, getting sick, allergies, everything always just happens in a row just to, you know, throw everything out of whack. But whatever, we'll roll with the punches, we'll keep on moving. Now, as far as the engine goes, I hope that we can do the seals with the cylinder head still on. If not, we're gonna have to pull them off, either do them in-house or send them out. I don't know yet. More than likely, we're gonna do them in-house. It's just seals. But, you know, once you have them off, you really wanna check everything. Might as well, you know, so you know you're working with something solid. Now, if that's the case, where I have to remove the heads, then the second video is gonna be part 2 of disassembly, because that's a lot. I have to remove the transmission. I have to remove all the timing components, the heads. We have to order more parts. So that's not great. Now, if you liked the video, go ahead and drop a like, maybe even subscribe, share it with anybody who might be interested, and I will catch you on the next video.